Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website about reimagining your life. Thanks for joining me today to talk about, well, kind of a few miscellaneous topics that rolled across my desk in the past few days that seem like they might have some interest. So let's get started. If you like what you hear tonight, please leave a like, subscribe, tell your friends, send me a message. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk about, like I said, a couple of items that are definitely interesting, and especially when you couple them with the perceptions of the aged market in, consisting of older individuals. But first, kind of just a weather early warning. I noticed the other day that, even though we've had all these wonderful warm days, that winter and autumn really are coming because I was at a gas station getting some filling up my car with gas, and heard in the trees this huge flock of birds preparing for their trip south. And the days are quickly and noticeably getting a lot shorter. So, time to start planning all your late summer activities. Get ready for autumn because even though we get used to how wonderful and warm it's been, you know it's coming if you're up in the Northeast or wherever in the North. To me, autumn is probably the perfect season, but I have to admit, summer just flew by this year. So grab the rest of it while you can. Pay attention, as we always talk about. Be mindful of what's going on. That's the best way to get the most enjoyment out of things. So there was a woman. She basically made YouTube into what it is today at Google. She was a big proponent for them purchasing it initially, and then took over on the marketing of it, and ended up being leading that division. And her name was Susan Wojcicki, sorry. And unfortunately, very sadly, she passed away yesterday at the age of 56 from lung cancer. And I have to admit, normally, if I go through the paper or whatever and read online, I see something like that. Oh, it's too bad. And I've seen her written up a few times, and I've known of her for years. It just really struck me that here is somebody who really lived life very fully, did a lot of things, and kind of a reminder, to myself and hopefully to all of us that life is never a given, and we should really try and make the most of every single day. It really is a gift. In Susan's case, besides creating and running a multi-billion with a B, billion-dollar division, she was also a mother to 5 children and a caring spouse, and a parent as part of a couple. And to me, it's just kind of like what a great inspirational legacy that is. It's just she did all these things, and a couple of years ago retired from Google, which is kind of a simple statement. She wanted to take care of, spend more time with her family, and look after her health, and never tried to call attention to herself, but still just did all these amazing things that quite literally changed the world. And it got me thinking in part because I often meet people who spend a lot of time telling me about all the things that they cannot do. I'm not good at math. I can't use an internet. That was not a grammatical mistake, or a computer. Seriously, people talk like that. They just have decided that they can't do things. I can't read. I can't speak. I can't talk well. The list is pretty much endless. And every time they say that, there's a piece of the brain, and we've talked about this, that agrees with what they say and makes sure that what they believe becomes true. So they indeed aren't good at math. They can't use a computer and all those other things. Then you have the other kind of people, and they talk of, instead of all the things they can't do, they talk in terms of possibilities. I've never been able to play the piano, and I'm so excited that I started taking lessons. I've never done that sort of work before, and I can't wait to learn something new. I've never been out of the country before and just learned how to travel without spending a fortune. That list is also endless. But the big difference is those people are telling their brains to prepare for something good and exciting, and it will improve their situations. For these people who believe, well, most likely what they really want to have happen, what they believe is probably what's going to become true in almost all circumstances. The only difference is how they look at the future and how they approach new situations. The situation doesn't change, only the attitude. And as we spoke last week, there's many ageist forces encouraging us to kind of give up, to feel hopeless, to try and buy a way out of happiness since you have no life left. And they're all over. They're all over social media. They're in ads. They're everywhere. But the reality is nothing could be further from the truth. I'm in a mastermind, just a small group of people working towards a common goal. And it's a mastermind of about 6 people, a few of whom are just endlessly enthusiastic, like nonstop positive. And it's really something to behold and be around. And that energy has an immense effect on everyone. There are some people who started off kind of seeing nothing but the problems of what they're doing. And now they're taking steps in their business that seemed totally crazy to them only a couple of weeks ago. I mean, like totally insane. What changed? Only their attitude. So tomorrow or later today, when you're tempted to say, I wish I could do, stop right there. You know, not I wish I could do thus and such. Turn that phrase right on its head and instead say, I will find a way so that I can do something. And name your dream and start working towards it. We've covered the steps before, and we'll be doing it again over the coming weeks. But there's nothing stopping you from moving closer to your dreams, no matter what your age, and no matter how big your dreams are. Finally, you know, the last thing I came across is kind of an interesting story, and the headline of the story is Doctors Wish More Seniors Took Ozempic. So that kind of caught my eyes, kind of, okay, what are they talking about? And so the why is, you know, they talk about the potential weight loss, but that's really just kind of the tip of the iceberg. It's much like we talked about the other day, last week, in putting ageism aside and thinking about aging in a positive fashion, all the benefits that came out of that. Exactly the same process going on here. Because the potential for weight loss, everything else is really kind of related benefits that come out of being healthier. People tend to get more mobile because, you know, with the less extra weight, there's less force on their joints, and so they have fewer pains. Perhaps they can resume or start more hobbies. Some people talk about starting golf or, you know, to go for a walk in the park, and that leads to more social interaction, and that's just a huge benefit as we age. And the list goes on. The weight is kind of a symptom, and the results are building upon each other and magnifying each other. And they talk about one of the issues is that Medicare won't pay for it, unless it's prescribed as part of another condition, such as diabetes or something like that. And you know, whether or not they'll cover it, that's a whole different story. But you know, they're saying one of the problems is people start this when they're 63 or 62, and they warn them kind of when you turn 65 and go on Medicare, you're going to lose the ability to get this paid for because you go to this different insurance. But for me, one of the things that really caught my attention is that most of the benefits that are available if a person could just find the motivation to make the life changes even without the prescription. I'm not minimizing the effort at all. You know, it takes a lot of effort to make lifestyle changes. I know that. But again, with good envisionment and goal setting, plus an accountability partner or accountability group, very often the impossible suddenly becomes totally possible. Remember the mastermind group I mentioned? You know, it wasn't that people were trying to pump up the other people who weren't confident. It was simply that by being in a motivated group who shared their goals, they changed their own mindset and then changed everyone else's mindset because everyone realized that what they wanted really was possible. That exact same level of peer support can help any of us make huge changes in our lives simply by letting us see that many of the barriers we perceive are really created by ourselves to avoid unknown situations. So never give up on your goals, no matter how big and crazy they might seem. Try to surround yourself with other like-minded people and be amazed at what you're able to accomplish when you work from a place of positive mindset. So that's it for the evening. You know, I hope these little stories help you see that life at any stage of life is always a source of opportunity. As we age and mature, we don't need tough love. You know, there's a guy I just came across, and he had a lot of really good sayings and a lot of really good things. It was all kind of tough love. He was talking to his 20-year-old self, guy, you know, this is what you got to do. We don't need tough love. You know, we're older. We've learned a lot of things. But what we can really benefit from is believing in ourselves, with people around us who also believe in themselves. And so we all pull ourselves forward together. You can be the catalyst to change not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. Seek out the good in life and the good in people. Amplify it, share it, and you'll find yourself and your friends living above the negativity that permeates so much of what we see these days. If someone talks about the good old days, remind them that we can make the coming days even better if we help each other get there. Your homework, always optional, is to think about something you wanted to do, say play an instrument or run a 5K race or anything that just these days seems kind of out of reach, that you just think you can't do anymore. Write down all the reasons in one column, make a little paper, put a line down the middle, make 2 columns. On one side, write down all the reasons that you think you can't do it anymore. And then next to them, just write down what would have to change for you to start trying to do that dream again. It doesn't have to be in great detail. And some of them can be just silly. Oh, I'd have to learn to do something that's just too complex. But write down a bunch of them. Write down a bunch of reasons. Write down a bunch of things that might help you get there. Now, the extra points part, I say it's extra points, but it's really kind of pretty important. If you take 1 or 2 of those beginning steps and to commit to working on them, even say like 2 times a week for a few weeks. Write down how you feel or perform at the beginning. Can't even find middle C on the piano. Can't hit 2 notes that don't sound bad together. Then work on it a couple times a week for a few weeks. Follow some sort of way, some course, anything, whatever you feel like doing. And at the end, then go back and write down what you're doing there now. And chances are you'll be a lot better at the end than you were a few weeks ago. You'll learn some things, you'll gain a couple small skills, and you realize, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm better than I was a couple weeks ago. Congratulations. You're at the start of your journey to a more satisfying life. That's it. Please remember the many ways, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. We talk about this. There's wars in Ukraine, wars in Israel and the Middle East, stuff going on in Niger, just many things. Venezuela. The list is long and not good. But one of the best ways we care for ourselves is to care for others. If you want to support the people in Ukraine, I have some links here. We'll get more up, ukr7.com. If you want to support people who are in trouble from natural disasters, typically, although sometimes war zones, mostly natural disasters, wck.org, World Central Kitchen, they bring food to people in need. And we talk about this a lot. Even if you don't want to support someplace outside the world, if you can support someplace locally, that's awesome too. If you don't have the money or just you don't feel like giving money to some random organization, you can make a change in somebody's life. You walk past them, just stop and say good morning. Say, hey, how you doing? You were talking at the bus stop or something, say, wow, that's a really nice pack you got. It looks good on you. It doesn't have to be special. Just say something nice into somebody else's life. One person at a time, we can make the life better, their life better, the world a better place. So if you can and you're able, check on one of the places to donate. If not, just be nice to somebody else, because when you live outside yourself, it changes your perspective on the world and gives you more motivation just to be more active in the world itself. As always, thank you for stopping by. If you found something interesting or useful, please pass it along. Please subscribe, hit that like button. If not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week. Remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everyone. See you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you.